things in life are not things. The best thing in life are people.
Right.
And I believe that great people have great friends. Mentioned before that Amy Washington invited some of her friends and introduced her to them. And so we have the amazing Corey and Tamika Jefferson, and they're going to share their love story.
That's going to be coming up next on the Rich Relationship Podcast with Gil and Renee. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Rich Relationship Podcast with Gil
and Renee, where amazing things happen. Our goal is to help build, repair, and restore healthy relationships.
Our primary focus is on the marriage relationship. However, the topics are applicable to the relationships that we value most. Remember, we're stronger together.
Let's grow.
Hey, Jefferson family. Thank you for joining us. How are you guys doing, Corey and Tamika?
We're doing
good.
Great.
We're good. How are you guys?
So, as a family, are you guys ready to just break out and go your own ways? Because you guys are in Texas, right?
Yes. And it's hot.
And it's very hot.
No, well, we've been getting rain, so we haven't got to that point yet to where our heat kicks in. But how is it as far as you guys, them letting you guys go back out? As somebody told us, when everything opens back up.
Yes. Well, we still are observing the precautions and everything, but we do get out. We do go out and exercise.
Yeah, we order food out, but it's always to go. We never stay in a restaurant or any of that.
That is always to play it on the safe side.
And we've been going out too. We've been walking every day around our neighborhood. So
Right.
I have been in since March 31st. And so Gil gets to be the hunter-gatherer, and he goes to the grocery store for us, and I get to cook.
Yeah, because it's not like I'm going out hunting out in the field or anything.
So who's the hunter-gatherer in you guys' house?
Who's the one that ventures out?
That's me every day, all day.
So again, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us and spending some time with us on this episode of the Rich Relationship Podcast with Gil and Renee. And we always like to start the conversation out with, some people say it's an easy question, but it's always a fun question, which is our love story. So we go give who we always interested in see who starts the conversation out first. Who wants to start out the Corey and Tamika love story?
Well,
You have the truth and you have Corey's version.
Okay. We'll start with whoever wants to go with the fun story first, and then we'll let the other one bring in the truth.
Okay. Corey, go ahead.
She said, Corey, go ahead, huh?
all right. Well, Tamika and I met at a physical therapy clinic that I was working at in San Antonio. She was an intern at the time, and I actually worked at the clinic. But I was a PT aide. They had a lot of people come through there for internships, and this time it was actually Tamika. But the guy that was before her was, we called him a bore, and what we mean by that was BOR, because he was a box of rocks.
Oh wow!
Very bright, and it was a blessing to get her because she knew everything we were talking about and everything we were trying to teach her. She was very attractive, and they had a couple of professional football players in there that were kind of eyeing her too. They were talking about her, and I was like, Tamika is kind of cute. Let me see if I could go check her out in the pool area.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in there while she was in there and acted like I was doing something just so I could get a peek.
So you were checking her out from afar, huh?
Yeah. She knew what I was doing.
Did you call him out, Tamika?
Well, I noticed that he would always kind of be around whenever I had to do the aquatic therapy section of my internship. And I was like responsible for the pool area, so they allowed me to utilize the I think it was a hot tub sauna there. Yeah.
Yep.
And the pool. So after the clinic closed, when everybody should have been going home, somebody was still there taking things out, But yeah, so I noticed that he kind of lingered more than the others did. So
I was cleaning.
Yeah.
So that's your story. You gonna stick with that, huh?
Right.
Mm-hmm. But actually, so we had met then, but we weren't talking. We didn't initiate any kind of relationship at that time. It was a year later that we ended up being designated drivers. He was a designated driver for his family, for his brother and cousins, and I was a designated driver for my cousin, and we ended up at the same nightclub location. Saw him, I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it, because during our time at the clinic, we kind of hit it off. We went out for lunch with the group, but we kind of enjoyed each other's company at that time. And so a year later, here we are, and he had closed out a relationship, and so had I. So it just turned out to be a good
timing.
Yeah, God's time. Definitely.
Yeah, because we was both looking for each other after that night. We didn't see each other for quite a while.
A year. Yeah. Oh, after that night?
Yeah.
That we met again? Yeah. Mm-hmm. We did kind of want to see each other again. We exchanged numbers that night, but I had moved to Houston and he was still in San Antonio.
So you guys have had a long distance relationship. How long did that last?
Not long. I got her to move to San Antonio pretty quickly.
As a matter of fact, I would say I had moved from San Antonio in April and I returned by September or October, something like that. So I didn't stay gone long because I have family in both cities. It was just another home for me. So I stayed. I was here helping my aunt in Houston, and then I returned back to San Antonio because, we started getting closer by phone. We visited each other. Things got pretty serious after that.
I knew she was the one.
Yeah.
And how did you know that? How did you know she was the one?
It was just on my heart from when I was looking for her and she was looking for me. And, through some of our discussions, we liked a lot of the same things. They had a lot of things in common. I was more attracted to her heart for God. We got a lot closer. She ended up coming to the church where I was going and even got baptized.
Yeah, I did. But we were already married.
Were we married?
Yeah. I got baptized when I was pregnant with him. Yeah. So now I lost my train of thought. But for me, what attracted me to him and what got us, was the fact that he was very spiritual. He was very respectful with his mother. Just very soft-hearted towards me and very protective gentleman. Very respectful, but he doesn't take any mess. He's not a pushover or anything like that, but you could see his heart towards you. He's very kind and gentle and things like that. But he's a man's man, though.
So one of the things I wanted to ask is when you guys first started dating, who actually, I know you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but who was the one that became more interested in each other first to kind of pursue a longer term relationship, if I could say it that way?
Me, we were at one of my cousin's parties or whatever. We were sitting down and early on in our dating plans for her.
Whoa. That could sound kind of weird coming out just from a dating perspective, couldn't it?
Yeah. But she knew where I was coming from.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't awkward or anything.
It was. I don't think that was like at the very beginning. It might have been several months in. Now let's see. In the course of about a year and a half, we were married. So April of 97 when we started talking, and we were married December of 98. So I think things kind of picked up pretty fast for us. As when I moved back to San Antonio, it was like, we're doing this, we're getting married. It's just timing and budgeting and getting ready for marriage. But when we met up again that night at the nightclub, I think we both knew that we were meant to be together. So we just kind of worked towards that. But it was just really, I feel like it was a divine intervention type of thing, because in that course of when I first met him at the clinic and when we met at the nightclub, we sort of had been looking for each other, Yeah, because I had broken up with that person that I was with prior, and so did he. But it was like he was in the back of my mind, and we kind of saw each other passing in cars. And I said hello to him. He said hello to me, and he was so excited to see me. But I was going on a job interview, and he was going to work at another location. So we didn't get to speak that at that time. So that was prior to the nightclub meeting again. And it was interesting. So it might have been about 6 months later that we met at the nightclub and actually got a chance to talk again. Yeah.
So you guys have been married for 21 years.
Yes.
So it was, even though so your dating time, you guys dated for basically almost 2 years?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, how would you address when people say that's not long enough, or you guys sound like you kind of had this internal feeling, or whether it was led by the Spirit to say, you know what, this is somebody I want to spend my life with. What did you guys do as far as to really pursue that and think about making the decision so quickly?
For me, it was definitely the Lord leading me, because he had a lot of the characteristics or the personality traits that I needed. He was totally honest. He didn't have a lot of baggage from prior relationships, no children or anything like that, which is very rare these days.
Yes.
And, you know, a strapping young man, and it was just, I don't know, it was something, I believe it was more of a spiritual connection than it wasn't orchestrated by us. That's what I could say. It really wasn't.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that is because by the time Tamika and I not necessarily got together, but started thinking about one another, I got married before that when I was like 21, and divorced by the time I was 23. Mm-hmm. You know, we were too young, just a lot of immaturity. My father had passed away like a year before that, and I just felt like I needed to hurry up and do this and do that, because I wasn't sure how much longer I had, basically.
Right.
I passed away at 45, and there's a lot of things I wanted to do, and I was like, if this is a family trait, I need to do this, I need to do that. I made a lot of rash decisions.
Right.
But you do that when you're 21 years old. By the time Tamika and I got together, I dated a few girls, and just was not happy with any of them. I got accused of being gay by one girl because she wanted to sleep with me, and I told her no.
Right.
Wow.
So that was actually comical to me. I think I laughed the whole night.
I can't believe that happened.
Yeah.
You know, Tamika, you said two things that kind of stuck out to me. You said character. He had the character that I was looking for, but he also is a man's man. So the question that I have is for Corey. You know, when you hear those types of comments, and then from your experiences that you had with some of your dating scene and some of those things kind of going not the way you wanted, what made you see Tamika differently? And what was it, something about her that really appealed to you? Like she said about character you had.
Yeah, like I said, it was her heart for God first and foremost. That's what attracted me. I tell her this all the time. She's beautiful, inside and out. Her inner beauty is just as beautiful as her outward beauty, and I've been doing that forever.
Yes, she does.
You know, when I call her or she calls me, I say, "Hey, beautiful," and you know, that's just what I call her. That's her name to me. So, just the people that she attracts, the people that we end up coming in contact with, just because a lot of times God puts people kind of in our pathway to have something spiritual to say to them, and we both kind of have that trait, I guess. We ended up like our first night we went to the restaurant. There was this kid in the back. I guess he might have been a special needs guy, but he was just doing dishes. But he got out and he came, sat at our table and was talking to us. And
and he handled it well. I think the young man just felt, I don't know, like we were welcome to something. Yeah. And we handled it, you know, but they had to come and get him. But it wasn't a problem with us. You know, we talked to him for a few minutes. It's just I don't know. Both of us, it seems like we've had those instances where people come up to us and they just like to be around us. I don't know if it's an aura or something. I don't know, but
well, you guys both have a very sweet, inviting spirit, and that's something that you don't see a lot. And so that's a gift, to be able to make people feel like they belong and they're welcome. So you guys definitely have that grace on your lives.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all God for me, you know.
Yeah, Tamika had all the traits that I was looking for that I didn't have in my previous relationship. This is gonna irritate her, but it's very true. She has a lot of the same characteristics as my mother.
Oh.
She doesn't. All the good.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. You know, some people think, well, I'm not your mama. You know, you hear that a lot when people growing up with
but that's the first woman you fall in love with is your mom. Right.
So when it came time to actually progress down the path of deciding to make this a permanent relationship, what were some of the things that you guys talked about or even communicated about how you wanted your marriage to kind of look like? You know, Corey, since you had, like you just mentioned, had already been down that road before.
That you had plans for her. What were the plans?
Yeah. What was the plan, Corey?
Well, you living it, baby.
She made it, so it's all right. 21 years later, but
yes.
Yeah, the plan was to get married, go see the world, and have children. So we got married and had children.
So the go see the world is the next chapter then, huh?
Yeah. Well, we've seen a part of the world, but not the Far East or anything.
So what's one of your favorite trips you guys have been on together as a couple?
Favorite trips?
Been on a few cruises, but I think our favorite cruise was probably the last one, which was the Disney cruise. The Disney cruise is a lot more expensive than the other ones we had been on. But it was really, really fun, and the service was just
5 stars.
5 stars.
Everybody says that. Everyone says that their customer service is amazing.
We got on the ship and they had this huge buffet of all kinds of stuff, and it was, they had everything: lobster, prime rib, filet mignon, all kinds of stuff. As soon as you got on the ship, and we ate way too much, and you
pretty much have like a butler service when you're on that particular cruise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you have it was very personal to us, where there wasn't shared tables. Our family was alone. We had like intimate settings for our own family. It was very interesting
beautiful.
how they laid it out. So, and then with that trip, we got to see more of the Caribbean that we really enjoyed, Jamaica and different things like that. So it was a very good experience for our children as well, just to get, view of different cultures, stuff like that. That's why we like to take them with us, even though that's getting pricey, but that's okay.
Yeah, and another thing is when we would speak to the staff on the ship, we sit there and hold conversations with them and talk to them, see how they're doing. On several accounts, servers would say, "You guys are real genuine. I really appreciate that," because most of these people don't really give us time of day and don't want to talk to us.
Speak to the servers.
Yeah, they treat us like we're actually servants, peasants, and kind of thrown back by that, because nobody should be treated like that.
That's right.
Right. One of the things that I gleaned just from listening to you guys is that you talked about it from people being engaged by you guys and how you're inviting, and all those things are reminiscent of someone with some great communication skills. And even just from listening to you guys, you can tell that you guys always are talking to each other. Just from my vantage point, just from the first impression, what would you say is a key, or why, or how is that a key to developing a relationship, especially a marriage relationship? Now that you guys have some years under your belt, how would you say communication plays into establishing a healthy relationship?
Yes, communication is everything. It unlocks the doors to all breakdowns, all closed doors. Communication is the key to success in every relationship, whether it's personal or business or friend or foe. A lot of I would say a lot of conflict every conflict can be resolved by communication, both verbal, expressive, written. We talk all the time, Corey and I, whether we're mad at each other, whether he won't let me be mad. He doesn't for me to be mad. We cannot be mad going from day to day. It'll be for a day and that's it. We can't be mad tomorrow about this situation. We have to work it out. I will kind of be quiet and shut down if I'm upset about something or just need a quiet moment. But by the end of that day, we're hashing it out. So it is very important, and to be open and honest as you can, because if you're married, they're seeing every nuance of you, and you have to be humble. You have to be, you have to be open to their feelings, because it's not just about you, You have to be selfless when you're married.
You have to be present.
You have to be present.
The other thing is, Tamika and I like to pray together.
Yeah.
A lot. In order to pray at night, we try to make sure that we don't go to prayer in an agitated state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We want to make sure that whatever we had, we squashed, and we can go to God about it. And if we haven't squashed it, we'll sit there and we'll pray and be mad and talk to God about it while we're praying, and then we'll end up laughing.
Yeah.
Realize how petty it was or whatever. And that's one of the things that she actually likes about me, is that I like to pray with her. I like to get on the side of the bed on our knees and pray, or go upstairs and pray over my kids while they're sleeping.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you say that, because, we always talk about how you shouldn't go to bed angry, and it's really hard to pray for someone and be mad at them. So for the people who are listening, communication is talking to each other and talking to God, but it's also realizing that if you make that a part of your everyday life, then it makes your communication better. So since you guys have been married for 21 years and have everything going on with this corona, what would be some advice you would give to a couple who maybe have only been married for maybe a year? What would be something you would tell them during this time that they could practice that would possibly help them? Because you said that Tamika, communication can fix everything. What would be something a tip you would give them away to kind of deal with this time we were together in quarantine? During
this time of quarantine, what we've been doing is having times etched out for prayer, for discussion, Bible study, or what's going on in your day and how do you feel. So we usually do that during dinner time. We'll cook something and the kids will come down and we'll sit and just talk. We'll have Bible talks. We're right now we're having the kids teach us a lesson, something that they've learned from the Bible. And we'll go around the table and talk about their lesson, or they'll ask us questions and we'll ask them questions. And then we'll go just have some activity time with each other. Corey, I call them the two Corys, my husband and son. A lot of activity, football-wise, exercise-wise, together. And my daughter and I, since she's in film school, we've been kind of gathering equipment and different things like that for future vlogs, and just talking about her aspirations and what we need to do to get her there, what kind of investment is going to be, how to, budget for it, save for it. So we kind of tap into each other's interests and talents, especially during this time, so that when things get back running, we'll be ready to go.
Good. Right. And something you said, Corey, that kind of resonated me, that I want you to kind of expound on. And it kind of goes into what Tamika, you just described about having dinner with family and sharing and common interests. Corey, you said being present. Can you expound on that for someone who may be challenged in that area? And I think I know what you mean, but I want you to kind of elaborate on that one about being present with your family.
What I mean by being present is being in the moment when you guys are discussing whatever you're discussing. You know, don't sit there and be hanging on your phone and not paying attention and just giving answers like, yes, really, what? You know, just make sure that you are actually present and in the moment with your significant other. Another thing I think couples need to do, at least have a little bit of alone time.
Yeah.
You know, Tamika needs alone time because she likes to study the Bible sometimes by herself, or she likes to play games on her phone, or just have some time to decompress, just her by herself. And I'm the same way. Sometimes I'll just go veg out for a second. I think that's healthy, but make sure that when you guys do get back together, you communicate about whatever is going on in your day or bills or money. You know, a lot of these young couples have issues with money because they're still they're still thinking that I have my checking account, he has his, and there's no oneness in that.
Yeah. So when you think about everything that's going on, because I think sometimes we don't realize that it's about how we approach things. Corey, I want you to answer first. What is one thing that you have learned during this quarantine that has made you better as a result of it?
Made me better?
Mm-hmm.
Good question. I enjoy being at home with my family. I enjoy hanging out with them and watching their minds grow. All of us being at home together has been what I'm looking for. It's been satisfying because before COVID happened, we were always on the run. We were always going. I'd get up at 4:30 and get to work, and then come home and then run my son here football or try to get something cooked for dinner real quick. And Tamika's on her way home and she gets in, we're leaving. Finally get the chance to sit down when I get back. And, you know, she's tired from dealing with people at work and she's asleep. We haven't had that issue with this COVID stuff. We've been around each other, 24/7 and realized that we actually really do like each other.
That's beautiful. And that's a gift. So, Tamika, I want to ask you, what is one thing that you've stopped doing during this COVID-19 that you're not going to go back to again?
One thing
that you had to stop doing, that you realized, I don't need that.
I would say that I can say that I would stop being non-productive because I've been very productive for some reason. COVID, I've been able to focus more on self-care for myself. And so as we get back busy again, I have to realize that taking care of myself and making sure that I'm healthy is very important. I'm learning now that health is wealth. So
yes, it is.
So I'm looking at maybe even changing my diet to plant-based diet.
Woo, woo, I'll help you.
So I'm going to have to talk to you about that because I feel that that's going to be very important change for me.
For us.
Yes.
I don't know how I'm going to get this meat-eating person to do that.
You got a house full of T-Rexes in there.
Yes, I do. I really do. And so it's going to be a big transition for them more than me because I feel I can do it without too much of a struggle. But I definitely will stop not taking care of my physical self and focus more on wellness and health instead of, because, as moms, you kind of put yourself to the side. Mm-hmm. You have to raise the kids and make sure that they're going to the doctor and making sure that they're healthy and all that. You don't do that for yourself. So that's something that I'm stopping right now.
Yeah. So one of the questions I want to ask that I like asking a lot of the couples is if you had to give yourself advice based on 21 years of experience that you guys have already gleaned from being together and being in relationships, what advice would you give your younger self at this point, knowing what you know now? So almost just like if you were getting ready to give your kids advice about relationships and going into relationships with someone that they really, really care about or are interested in, how would you?
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, I would say to be humble, to humble yourself, because a lot of times we project our accolades and accomplishments, and we get a little huffed up on ourselves about how perfect we are. And we want our spouses to be that perfect person that we think that we are. But you have to, I know this term of submission is not if people don't like that term submission, but you have to submit to the Lord and you have to submit to your spouse. So a person who's huffed up on themselves are not going to be very submissive. You have to humble yourself in order to receive what the power of God, the love of God, the grace of God, and also the grace of your spouse and the love of your spouse, and be dedicated to them in that way. It's hard if you're, kind of full of yourself.
And what would you say, Corey? What advice would you give to the younger Corey about relationships, knowing what you know now?
Slow down.
Slow down.
Be patient. God has a plan, and you can't rush it. You can't always get what you want, and everything you want isn't always good for you. I would also tell my younger married self to listen more, because when Tamika and I first got together, I didn't listen as much as I do now. I was probably a pain in the bottom at that time. I was kind of hooked up on myself. She talked about submissiveness, and she and I had lots of battles about where we were going to go to church and things of that nature. And it got to the point where it almost ruined our marriage. Yeah. She every Sunday would come up and we'd be arguing about which church we're going to, and she got to where she was like, "Well, just go without me," and that wasn't happening. So she talked about being submissive, and I think that was probably it
was a big turning point.
It was a big turning point in our marriage.
It was about 10 years.
And in our lives.
10 years into our marriage, actually. And it was a big turning point for us and for our children as well.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And one of the things that kind of goes in line with that is when you say submission, Tamika, that made me think about your previous statement about being the man's man that you used to describe Corey. So the question I will ask Corey is, how do you balance that out, being the man's man, but also when you have a wife that is looking to be submissive? Was that a challenge for you as a man of the house, and how do you handle that and navigate that towards your family?
When I was younger, yes, I'd say it was a challenge. But once she and I started communicating a lot better and going to God in prayer about everything. I'm a man's man when I'm away from the house and away from her, but when I'm home or if I'm out and I'm with her, it's all about her. It's all about making her happy, and I guess that's kind of me being not necessarily submissive, but more in tune to what she wants and what makes her happy. Making her happy is one of the priorities on every husband's wish list, because it's funny, Tamika had a long list of qualities that she wanted in a husband when we first got together, and she didn't tell me about this till later on as we were. I didn't fill out that whole sheet. I didn't come close, but I guess I filled out the most important ones. Oh, those qualities that she talked about, I didn't really think about them until she told me about them. Started talking to me about her list, and I was always teasing her about how long it was.
I don't even remember the list. And he will not stop. I'm like, where is this list? I can't even find it. What are you talking about?
It's funny you say that. I was going to ask, where's the list and how's he doing now in comparison to it?
Gil and Renee Beaver's over 30-year relationship is the genesis for the Rich Relationship Podcast, which is designed to empower individuals with the tools, principles, and the community needed to unpack ourselves, our past, and our preconceived notions associated with relationships.
Let's get empty and grow together so that our lives will be filled with love and healthy, rich relationships. Now let's go into our show.
Well, I feel he has checked off probably all of them.
Yes.
I remember because I was listening to someone's advice. It was a public speaker, and they were like, it was for the single ladies, and you have to, write down the guys that you think or the qualities you want in a man. So I just simply wrote this down. It wasn't that I was holding him to it.
Right.
Well, Corey, you have it on tape now that you have recreated the list. You destroyed it. You just took it to another level.
This is so funny.
You know, the beautiful thing about, and I always tell people, you know, I think that when it comes to the list, I do believe that there should be a list, but I think that you should write down what you're looking for. And I think you should become the list, because I don't think that you're going to attract what you are not. And so you guys obviously are each other's list.
Very good.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
You can't, I feel like you can't expect more from a person than what you're willing to give.
Exactly.
You know, you have to give and you have to receive in the same manner, you know.
And Tamika, I love that you brought up the word submission, because I think that's one of those words that people think have gone out of style. But submission is so powerful for women, because it's not about not having your own mind or ideas. It's about laying them down to pick up God's purpose and plan so you can walk together in agreement. So I believe that submission is liberating and not restrictive. And so thanks for bringing that up and sharing that beautiful word that I think should come back to the forefront.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
So we have actually thoroughly enjoyed just communicating with you. Like you said, communication, that will be the key to this message, you know, how important it is and how it is to share not just your heart, your mind, your life, and you just said it best, your communication with each other. That is like the linchpin, and it's vital to your relationship. So we really, really appreciate you guys hanging out with us and like we like to say, investing some of your time in our community.
Yes. So if you guys had to say one thing you want to leave a couple with, what would that be?
One thing to leave with a newer couple or anything. I would say, and I've told many people, that God is the forever part of a marriage. Yes. God is your constant. He is your guide, because we are temporary beings here, and we change. We grow old. Our beauty may fade, but the Lord is your permanent fixture in your marriage. He created the constitution of marriage. So always go to Him for direction and guidance. And that Bible, the Word is living and active. It will live throughout your marriage, through your children's marriage, and so on.
And since we're talking about submission, if a husband wants his wife to be able to submit, he's got to be able to submit to the Lord.
Amen.
Proverbs 3, verse 3 through 6 states, "Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight."
Mm-hmm. And that is probably the best way to end this episode on.
That's your life verse. That's your life verse.
That's one of my life verses. You just quoted, so we just gonna leave it right there. Yeah. So again, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much for your time.
Beautiful love stories.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for your investment in time. Remember to subscribe to the show and hit the notification icon to be notified when new episodes are posted on the podcast platform that you're listening from.
Or you can always find us on our website at richrelationshipsus.com or our YouTube channel, Rich Relationships with Gil and Renee. If you found this podcast helpful or you think it could help someone that you know and care about, please pass it along and share it with them.
And also, you can always send your questions and comments to richrelationships.us@gmail.com. This is a weekly podcast, and the new episodes are going to be posted on Monday by 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Remember, we're stronger together.
Let's grow.